welcome everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com.
In today's news, the reopening of VG Airport, a victory for residents on Virgin Gorda, and the wider territory stands to boost tourism and the BVI's economy.
Renewable energy projects outlined in the 2022 budget address.
And Turnbull calls the Andrew Fahie-led VIP administration a failed government after they ignored the wishes of the people to immediately have Speaker Willock to foot his own bill.
In addition to that, funds allocated for tourism development also in the 2022 budget.
And we also see Cabinet deciding to strongly encourage all residents and businesses associated with cruise passengers to get vaccinated or undergo bi-monthly testing following lifting of cruise restrictions. Well, we get to these and more stories when 284 News return.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new season of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and, bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. This season, I'm taking you on an entirely different journey, from chefs to dancers, philanthropists, communications specialists, and much more. I'm heading outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Virgin Gorda, Justin Lake, not forgetting Antigua. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing, and I'm so proud. Get ready to reason, reflect, and redirect. We are the movers and shakers of this generation, and we ain't afraid to show it. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, Season 3 by yours truly, Ron Grant, raising a generation of greatness.
Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We're coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. It's always a pleasure. Kamal and viewers, earlier today, of course, we are getting in gear, full gear that is, for the Christmas season. And earlier today, our CCT and 284 media team was absolutely blessed once again. It's almost like an annual event. The Ministry of Education, the carolers came by our office to treat us to some well-needed carols. Take a look. Now, viewers, we are also here in the BVI in Culture and Tourism Month. As you saw in the video, the carolers from the Ministry of Education were addressed in their territorial, where we want to take this opportunity to thank all of them for coming by. Once again, we truly appreciate you bringing some love and light to the community.
Indeed, what a pleasant surprise, and I'm sure a lot of the other businesses that will endure that today would be appreciative and grateful for such. Our viewers, we move on where Premier Andrew Fahie has labeled the reopening of the Tanibe International Airport as a victory for the people of the Virgin Gorda and the British Virgin Islands, stating that it will significantly boost tourism on the sister island, ultimately impacting the territory's economy. But Premier Fahie made comments to 284 News following the landing of the first single-engine aircraft at the Virgin Gorda Airport on Tuesday, November 23rd. Well, he said his government was cognizant of the issues being faced with the airport on the sister island and made it a priority to get the airport back up and running.
We give God all the glory, the honor, and the praise, and I really mean this. This is the goodness of God and getting this project done for the people of Virgin Gorda, but for the entire territory. As we all know that I said that our economy and our tourism was going into overdrive. And the people of Virgin Gorda, with their representatives and even one at large that lives on Virgin Gorda, Honorable Shireen Flex-Shahs, they were adamant that we have to get certain things done on Virgin Gorda, and we know that. So we were able to get the funding needed to get the Virgin Gorda Airport the attention it needed, the refurbishment that it needed, the welcome center that's now needed, of course, with COVID, the road that hasn't been done in years, and even to get the lift of the ban for single-engine planes to come in. That's been there more than 20 years now. So we were able to do a lot, but it's only because of the goodness of God. So there's so many people to thank. I'm the least in it. All I was a conduit in which everything was passing through in terms of the Minister of Finance and the Premier.
Well, the Premier also said that there is presently a demand to have direct international flights into the Tanibe International Airport, and he also hinted that soon the same will be done for the Augusta George International Airport in Anegada.
This truly is a victory for the people of Virgin Gorda and the people of the territory. It's going to help the economy significantly, more tourists. There's an appetite for bookings to come to Virgin Gorda directly from Puerto Rico, Anguilla, St. Martin, so many other places. And they can come right now with international flights. And we're right now working on the same thing with Anegada. As you will know, we just installed the lights. We just had the test run, and it's been approved now. I understand this morning we got approval for the international flights from the regulatory body. So things are coming together like they have never been for quite some years in the Virgin Islands for tourism, for the economy overall. COVID-19 has knocked us down, but with God's help, it didn't knock us out. So to God be all the glory.
While District Representative Vincent Wheatley shared similar sentiments to Premier Fahie, adding that it made him a bit nostalgic, bringing back memories from his childhood.
It has taken me down the nostalgic route because as a child we often traveled by plane to Beef Island. That trip, however, was 5 minutes, $3, 5 minutes. Today, this plane is a much faster plane. This has opened up a whole new avenue to getting tourists from the outside world into Virgin Gorda. You can fly directly from Puerto Rico or St. Thomas now to Virgin Gorda. That is huge for tourism because tourists want to leave New York or London and be in the BVI that same day. This here makes that possible. I am so grateful and so thankful to all those who made it possible. I mean, it's really taken me down memory lane. This is a huge step forward for BVI tourism, for the person for Medivac, person who may be ill and want to go to a doctor in Puerto Rico, you cannot get there from Virgin Gorda directly. So for us, it's really, really huge. Thank you so much.
Okay. And this plane, where did it come from?
This plane is out of St. Bart's. They regularly fly between St. Bart's, I think St. Martin and Puerto Rico. I know they're trying to add Virgin Gorda as one of their legs to travel. When I spoke to the pilot earlier and he told me he regularly lands in St. Bart's, I said then I'm safe. Because if you could land St. Bart's, Virgin Gorda is a piece of cake. So this is historic. I'm really so pleased for all the effort. It must have taken a lot of effort by a lot of persons to make this happen. So I'm really eternally grateful.
Well, meanwhile, Territorial at-Large Representative Shireen Flex-Shahs, who is also a Virgin Gordian, spoke to the importance of having the local airport operational once again.
This is a significant day in the history of Virgin Gorda and the British Virgin Islands. When that plane landed, it brought tears to my eyes. We haven't seen that for a while. But from a tourism perspective, even for medical evacuations in the daytime, it is so important that we have this airport up and running. We have many persons who simply prefer to fly into Virgin Gorda. They prefer to fly into Virgin Gorda directly, and they have that opportunity to do so. It will bring lots of revenue to Virgin Gorda and by extension the entire British Virgin Islands. And working together to get this airport opened was a task, but there were many players, and the entire community came forward to ensure that with the help of the government that it was done.
Well, viewers, you heard from the Premier and Minister of Tourism, Andrew Fahie, District Representative Vincent Wheatley, and finally, the Territory at Large Representative Shireen Flatch-Charles, who all spoke to the significance of yesterday's event on Virgin Gorda. And Ron, obviously, we here at 284 Media would have witnessed what we would have seen as a historic event. It's the first single-engine aircraft to land on Virgin Gorda since the lifting of the ban, which was enacted for the last 56 years.
Wow.
So I'm sure that the economy of Virgin Gorda will be welcoming a lot of these planes in the future. As the Premier said, the first commercial plane is set for December 17th. And I'm sure a lot of airlines will be looking to fly directly from Puerto Rico and other neighboring countries and territories directly to Virgin Gorda.
I agree. A significant accomplishment for the people of Virgin Gorda and the wider British Virgin Islands. Moving along, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honourable Andrew Fahie, has announced that the government of the Virgin Islands remains committed in strengthening the territory's energy supply and reducing its carbon footprint. Now, the Premier, while delivering the 2022 budget address, referenced the contract signed between the Anegada Hybrid Renewable Energy and Battery Energy Storage System project that is anticipated to reduce fossil fuel usage on Anegada by some 95% during the first quarter of 2023. Fahie said, and I quote, "This will surpass the government's target of reducing fossil fuel-based generation by 80%. The system will comprise of approximately 1 megawatt of solar PV panels and 4,078 kilowatt-hour of battery energy storage." He also mentioned that 22 students from the H. Lavery-Stout Community College Solar Technician Training Program who received their North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners and National Center for Construction Education and Research certifications. The Premier said these students will use the Anegada Hybrid Renewable Energy and Battery Energy Storage System project to gain the necessary practical experience that will put them in a position to capsule the renewable energy industry in the Virgin Islands. Now, the VI will lead in this area, he added. The territory's execution of renewable energy and fossil fuel reduction is not only limited to Anegada. The Premier explained that the BVI Electricity Corporation is progressing feasibly with assessments with respect to exploring the renewable energy potential for utility-scale solar PV generation and penetration on the national transmission grid infrastructure in Paraquita Bay, Tortola, as well as Virgin Gorda. Now, Premier Fahie encouraged residents to transition to clean renewable energy, noting a number of incentives, including a zero tax on clean energy equipment for 1 year in the first instance, and other incentives for persons to switch to eclectic and hybrid vehicles. Now, the Premier explained construction work on the BVI EC's headquarters on Virgin Gorda will commence in 2022 following the destruction of the former headquarters during the hurricanes of 2017. He said this headquarters is expected to utilize sustainable and greener strategies following the leadership in energy and environmental design framework for a healthy, highly efficient and cost-saving green buildings. One completed will be the first LEED certified building in the Virgin Islands. Now, the government of the Virgin Islands is committed, they say, to assisting the BVI Electricity Corporation in the development of the territory's electrical infrastructure by adequately supplying a reliable and continuous electrical supply to the entire population at affordable costs. Again, quite a story coming out of the 2022 budget address as it pertains to renewable energy.
Well, viewers, up next, Turnbull calls the Andrew Fahie-led VIP administration a failed government after they ignored the wishes of the people to immediately have Speaker Willock foot his own legal bill and funds allocated for tourism development in 2022 budget. But we get to these stories when we hear from our sponsors.
You value traditions. Today, you value music. You value education. Family. I love you. Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, opposition legislator Melvin Mitch Turnbull believes that the President Andrew Fahie-led Virgin Islands Party administration is a failed government following their recent decision to ignore the people of the territory on a number of topical issues. Well, Turnbull made the comment during the reenactment of the historical 1949 march on Monday, November 22nd. Well, he said the most recent occurrence where the government ignored the voice of the people was when Premier Fahie opted to go ahead with a motion to decide whether Speaker of the House of Assembly, Speaker Willock, will pay his legal fees as a private citizen and have them paid in his capacity as Speaker, despite Supreme High Court ruling. Well, Turnbull said that the territory needs leadership that is accountable to the people, which will take the BVI to the next level. Take a listen.
It's important that we are here. We are calling for justice. We are calling for leadership. Leadership that matters, but leadership with integrity. Not one that changes what they say depending on who is in front of them. Not one that changes what they say depending on what reaction they want. But we need leadership to take this country, to take this territory to the next generation, to the next point that we need to go to. You can't be talking about self-determination. You can't be talking about independence and all the things that we've been talking about, and our actions depict something completely different. So, Honorable Premier, the leadership of this government, this present sitting administration, you are accountable to the people. You had a point where 1,200 signatures, along with the voices of the people, together with a march that happened in the House of Assembly, was put forward, and you ignored the voice of the people because you felt that it was your duty to go in the House of Assembly and give options that were there. And now we're to this position where the COI will continue, I think, this week, and it's continuing to unfold and unravel. And this is, I call it a failed government, Cindy, but there are people in this territory who have had enough. I am glad that everyone is here today. I like the sign behind me. My good brother, I won't call his name because I know where he was. But we are here nonetheless because the hope of the Virgin Islands rests on the shoulders of the people. We can't remember the March of 1949 and continue down the road that goes contrary to it. We heard the interviews and we see the interviews that the Honorable Premier had in the UK and otherwise. Apparently he's not pleased about what was reported, and now he's trying to backtrack, and hopefully nobody paid attention. But you're going to be held accountable for your words. You're going to be held accountable for your actions. The people of the Virgin Islands have had enough, and I stand with the people where we need justice, we need a referendum, we need this government to be gone, and we need leadership that holds account to the people of the Virgin Islands and never lose focus of the sight of what the people want. I am here, the 2nd District representative, but I'm here right now today as a representative of the people. That's right.
Well, organizer of the protest, who is also a community activist, Cindy Roseanne Jones, spoke to the reason behind hosting the peaceful march. She said the decisions being made by the present government administration is a direct conflict to the infrastructure that was put in place by the pioneers of BVI politics.
We're doing a protest. Today is the holiday representing the march that Theodore Faulkner, Mr. Fonseca, and Mr. De Castro made to set up government for the BVI. So we decided on this day to do a march in protest of things that have been going wrong in the BVI in terms of leadership, in terms of the motions being made in the House of Assembly by the Premier, in particular the defiance of the ministers to bring a motion to pay the Speaker's fees, which the people are not in support of. So we chose today to do that because as we think about it and as we look at it, the decisions that are being made in the House of Assembly are challenging the infrastructure that these guys march to set in place. For us, it's bringing down our institutions that are being pulled to the ground by this administration, and we've had enough. And so we're out here today, and we're marching against that.
Well, meanwhile, Progressive Virgin Islands Movement candidate Shana Smith Archer was also a part of the march, where she outlined a number of her concerns with the current government, stating that presently there is no confidence in their ability to run the territory.
in 1949 to be the same as 2021. 1. You have sinned against us, the people, in diverse ways, so that our grievances against you are sundry and manifold. 2. You have left undone the things you ought to have done. 3. You have done the things you ought not to have done. Sound familiar, Cindy? Yes. And 4. There is no confidence in you.
None.
Our ancestors fought that we might have the privilege for a seat at the table of governance in these Virgin Islands. And we are here squandering it with immoral thinking and oppressive behavior, just like the government of that day. This needs to stop now. What do we need it to do? Stop now. It pains my heart when I look around at the unacceptable conditions in our country, and I know yours mourns too. I am disappointed to see how lightly our leaders take the responsibility of governing ourselves by doing what not ought to be done and leaving undone what ought to be. If our ancestors, these men here, are just a replica of those that marched with them, with the limited knowledge they had, set the stage for self-governance, then the least we can do is safeguard the legacy. I want to remind us that the People's House of Assembly, this is the People's House, is our sacred institution that is supposed to be reflective of the best in us and the best of us. And we are here to charge our representatives today to do what is right by and for the people of the Virgin Islands.
Our viewers, that was Shayna Smith Archer voicing her concerns on the present situation of the Virgin Islands.
Continuing on with more news out of the 2020 budget address, Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Andrew Fahie, has stated that $200,000 is allocated for tourism infrastructure development, as he emphasized in the government's commitment to developing the territory's tourism product in the 2020 budget address. Now, the Premier said several projects will be undertaken, including the construction of bathroom facilities at the Bruce Bay, as well as a number of upgrades to the Virgin Gorda Tanibe Airport to include a new welcome center, the expansion of the runway, repairs to the rescue boat, and emergency drill, and updating briefing packets for flight crews. Now, Premier Fahie also affirmed that the Tanibe International Airport here on Tortola will also benefit from a runway expansion, adding that funding is already appropriated for this year's and the next year's budget. Now, the Premier Fahie said that in spite of the setbacks incurred during these challenging times, the BVI Tourist Board, BVI Ports Authority, BVI Airports Authority, along with the public and private institutions, have been working collectively to attract visitors whilst simultaneously ensuring that the territory is both a competitive and sustainable destination. Now, Premier Fahie said, viewers, where tourism is one of the Virgin Islands' two major economic drivers, any progress we can realize at this time will be of benefit to our economy. Our taxi operators, restaurants, tour operators, domestic ferries, land and sea-based entrepreneurs, museums, national parks, sailing companies, and all the entrepreneurs and businesses that service our visitors. Now, the Premier also highlighted that many of the successes the VI has seen thus far in its tourism sector since reopening, such including the BVI's delegation success at the 2021 Sea Trade Cruise Global Conference, which resulted in the confirmation of 176 extra calls, he said, to the Virgin Islands beginning October 2021 up until 2024, as well as an additional international round-trip ferry service, the upcoming reopening of the Tanibe Airport, which has taken place, the continuation of the Anegada Lobster Fest, and Culture and Tourism Month. Now, Fahie concluded by stating that the government and other relevant stakeholders are actively involved in innovating the VI's tourism product by exploring areas such as nature tourism. He also reminded the public of the National Tourism Strategy, which will facilitate this innovation in a comprehensive manner. He said the National Tourism Strategy, when completed in 2022, will be the blueprint for all aspects of shaping and positioning the Virgin Islands tourism industry in the current global landscape. He also added this strategy will also provide us with even more modern approaches in how to improve, enhance, and sustain our tourism industry. Kamal, more news coming out of the budget. We've heard this before, but we do hope with anticipation that the new coming year will bring a lot of significant need and assistance to the tourism sector. Of course, with the ongoing pandemic, it has suffered tremendously, but I do think there is more that can be done, and we continue to look forward with anticipation that Premier Fahie and his government will indeed help this industry continue to not only strive, but to maintain its succession in the territory.
Well, indeed. Well, we do see some of the rewards presently where we are seeing a number of cruise ships in the territory, where Premier Fahie obviously would have stated that,
yes,
this is as a result of the recent meeting in Miami, where his government and the delegation would have gone to the sea trade meeting, the conference basically, and negotiated several favorable terms to have more cruise ships in the territory. As you said, following that meeting, there was an additional 170 plus berths to the territory. Persons would have agreed to those vessels, 170 extra calls to the territory. That's significant, especially for the year 2021, where the BVI would have suffered tremendously from the negative impact of COVID-19, with borders would have been closed throughout most of 2020. Whereas more other Caribbean countries were open, we were shut basically.
Correct.
And obviously, we are now seeing the rewards. We've had a recent story where we saw the taxi operators. They're they're reaping the rewards, and they're actually they're smiling every day once again as you traverse the territory. You're seeing more and more tourists on the roadway. So it's critical that UCC government obviously prioritizing tourism in the upcoming budget. And obviously, we look for more brighter things when it comes to tourism in the BVI.
I agree. Viewers, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Brilliant Hands and Minds Tutoring Services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals. Viewers, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Of course, we have much more content for you. Please be sure to visit our website as well as our social media pages, both YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Kamal, before we go, I had the opportunity to speak with a renowned BVI sensation, the one and only Jugu Sprav, earlier today. They are actually on tour, himself and Vibe. And it was quite an impactful interview, only because Virgin Islands music is by far taking off. He's going to Milwaukee this Friday, and then Orlando in Saturday, which really puts into, as we celebrate Culture and Tourism Month, the impact of our music on the wider world, not only locally but regionally and internationally. So viewers, if you did not get to check that interview out, be sure to visit our Facebook page for that. Again, the takeover, Jugu and Vibe are coming to a city near you. In addition to that, at 8 p.m. this evening, be sure to check out The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman with yours truly. Tonight's guest is Mr. Nicole Hendrickson. Of course, we intend to continue to highlight the best and brightest of our young men in the territory for that particular show. So do check it out. That's all the time we have. I'm Ron Grant.
And I'm Kamal Hayes. Viewers, have a great evening.
Bye-bye.